What's going on YouTube? JTISREBORN here, and welcome to another edition of After the Movie. So I saw The Nun. Ooh, it's the second time I've seen the movie The Nun, actually, because there's another movie called The Nun about a killer possessed nun that I remember seeing a few years ago. In fact, I almost bought the DVD when I was at FYE recently, but that's a topic for another day. I saw The Nun 2018, the fifth film in the Conjuring Universe, and it's a prequel to the prequel to the prequel. Uh, and it ties back into the first movie, and it just ties into the... It's kind of crazy to think about how the Conjuring universe has spawned. It's on movie 5, next year we get movie 6, and then movie 7 after that. It's kind of unique, but yeah, so let's talk about The Nun. Going into this movie, I was pretty excited because... I don't know if I talked about this in the channel. I reviewed Conjuring 2, or 1, and Annabelle Creation. I haven't done the first Annabelle or Conjuring 2, but I love The Conjuring 2. I think The Conjuring 1's pretty good, and I think Annabelle Creation's pretty good. The first Annabelle, not so much. But The Conjuring 2, I absolutely loved. And the best thing in that movie, well, the characters, obviously, like Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, are incredibly good leads in those movies. But with this one, it's a spin-off movie, it's a prequel, it goes back to the very beginning of the Conjuring universe, and it's about the demon Valak, also known as the Nun, which you see on the posters. So in the Conjuring 2, I'm going to admit something, that fucking Valak demon thing, when I first saw that movie, that thing gave me nightmares. I've had nightmares about that thing on several occasions. I've had dreams within the dreams where I think I'm awake in my room, but I'm really not, and I'm actually dreaming, and the demon Valak thing gets like right in my face, and I'm like, ah, screaming like a small child. But yeah, so I absolutely love The Conjuring 2. And when I heard they were doing a spin-off movie about the nun, and I'm like, oh, this should be interesting. And, they cast Vera Farmiga's younger sister, Tessa Farmiga, I think that's how you say it, to play this character known as Sister Irene. And then you had a bunch of other characters. And then, there's Ed and Lorraine cameos in the movie, which is, footage from the other films because it's, all tying back in. And the way it ties back into the first movie is actually really clever. It's kind of like in Annabelle Creation, how they tied that one into the first Annabelle movie, which also is coming. And they're also going to do an Annabelle 3 next year, I believe. And then they're going to do Conjuring 3, which they're working on. But, yeah, so The Nun... How to describe The Nun? I'd say it's fourth in the Conjuring series in terms of like how I'd rank them. Obviously, Conjuring 2 is my personal favorite, and then I'd go after that probably Conjuring 1, and then Annabelle Creation, then The Nun, and last place is the first Annabelle movie, which I don't think is very good. But yeah, I think what makes the Conjuring films, the main films, the Conjuring 1 and 2 work, is the characters of Ed and Lorraine Warren. They're very likable, and Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson really carry the movies. And then you have James Wan's directing style. So far, the closest to mimic James Wan's is, David F. Sandberg, which, he did Lights Out, so he did a pretty good job there. And he's not quite to the level of James Wan in terms of crafting scares, but he's pretty good. Now, the director of this movie was Corin Hardy, and he directed some other movie I've never seen before, but he's better than the person who did the first Annabelle, but the way he crafts the scares, they're just not there like if James Wan were directing it. I think that's one of the weak points of the movies. It's just not living up to how creepy James Wan could direct something. I think James Wan he's the best mainstream horror director out there. He's pretty much my favorite. Whenever James Wan is directing something, I'm like, that's good. That's a James Wan scene. He really crafts the scares, and he does a really good job. This movie, there's maybe like one or two scares, but a lot of them are pretty predictable jump scares. It's definitely a slower paced film than, I was anticipating, but there are some good stuff in there. The Demon Valak, when is on screen, is, still creepy. There's like a moment where like Valka's rising out of the water, and I'm like, ooh, scary. Something like that. The characters in this film, like there's a priest, I forget his name, and then there's another dude that follows him around, and then there's one of the three characters ties into... I'm not going to give away any spoilers. There is no post-credit scene, by the way, unlike Annabelle Creation, where there was, the nun that shows up after the credits, because they haven't started filming Annabelle 3 yet, because Gary Dauberman, who wrote the Annabelle movies and also wrote this, is writing and directing Annabelle 3, which is supposed to be like Night at the Museum at the Warrens' house. So that should be kind of fun and exciting. But this one, the way it ties in to the other films, obviously there's Valak the demon, and it's really clever the way it all like ties in. Like I'm like, ooh, like I think that's the thing I liked most about the movie, is the way it like builds on the Conjuring lore. On its own, there's some creepy moments, but it's not very scary altogether. At least in my opinion, there were some people screaming in the theater, and I was kind of laughing at them for that. But there's some things that it does where I was like, "Oh, that's kind of intriguing." They go to like this covenant because a nun had died, as like kind of like a sacrifice to keep the evil with in there without like because they don't want Valak to possess and you know do evil shit, I guess. So yeah, because so they go to this covenant. Taisa Farminga, who plays Sister Irene, and this priest have to go investigate it. There's some other guy along the way who helps them out, and they got to stop, the evil, the Valak, the nun, the creepy one. So they have to go there. They have to kind of seal it within because there's apparently back in the Dark Ages somebody opened the gateway to hell. And the evil was sealed, but then World War II happened, and then, bombs are going off, and everyone in the Covenant is dying. They're trying to secure this evil using some ancient relic, which has the blood of Christ in it. Literally, Jesus' blood is in the movie, so I'm like, that's kind of cool how it ties in. But part of me is also kind of thinking, like, by God, like, when they're going toe-to-toe with the demon, I'm just thinking, oh man, how much cooler would this be if like Ashley J. Williams was in here? Like just Bruce Campbell as Ash just giving the demon shit. I just kept thinking back and forth to myself. I'm like, that would have been pretty amazing if we saw Bruce Campbell or someone like that in the movie, because the character in this movie, I think Taissa Farmiga did all right. She was fine. But I think what really helps the Conjuring film stand out is the characters like of Ed and Lorraine Warren, because they're such likable leads. And this one, the characters are they're decent. They're not quite up to par with, the Conjuring films, or I know this is all in the Conjuring universe, but they're not quite up to par with the main Conjuring films. Or I think the characters in Annabelle Creation were a bit stronger than, the ones in this one. But these ones are better than the ones in, the first Annabelle movie, so at least there's that. So this isn't quite, bottom of the barrel, but it's not quite up to par with, Annabelle Creation or the two James Wan films. So yeah, it's slower paced. I think it was fine for what it was. I definitely didn't hate it. I liked elements of it. Like I love, I don't want to say I love Valak because Valak is like an actual demon, but I love the creature design for the nun. The nun's creepy usually whenever she or it is on screen. Just whenever you see it, just there's that forbidding presence of it, like just throughout the film. Whenever you see it, you're just like, ooh, that creepy son of a bitch. You know what I mean? Something like that. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else to say. There's some comedy in there here and there with the comedic relief guy in the movie. He definitely brings some fun to the film. He's not like Die Hard funny, but he's there. There's still some really dumb shit that was kind of annoying me throughout the film. Like, why are these people constantly going off by themselves when they have to go and try and fight the evil? I'm just like, just the three of you, don't wander off on your own. Stick together. You're in literally the catacombs, looking for like a gateway to hell. There's no reason you should all be going solo when you're or like, yeah, I get it. You want to find the place, but stick together. I mean, you're so much better off. At least in the Conjuring films, are just, Ed and Lorraine Warren. Like, they got to help people, but, like, they're competent characters. Like, here, they're not quite as competent. So, yeah, there's that. And there's some bad CGI, and there's some scares that just kind of fall flat, but, you get what you pay for. And, for the most part, I enjoyed The Nun for what it was. It didn't I mean, it didn't wow me or anything like that. It just makes me think, like, if James Wan directed this movie, it would have been a whole hell of a lot scarier, and it would have come across as, better. But take it for what it's worth. Go check out The Nun if you feel like it, or don't. It's all up to you. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about this film. Hope you guys enjoyed this quick little vid. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to the next film in the Conjuring universe. It's kind of crazy how we have a shared horror cinematic universe that isn't the Dark Universe, because that one just died on impact, and it's unfortunate that it wasn't, the first Mummy movie wasn't good, because I would have liked to have seen that universe expand. But at least I have the Conjuring series, so I appreciate that. Anyways, thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to hit the like on the video, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/SeanJTKing, and I'll see you next time. Take care now. Bye-bye then.